My cue, it's 10 o'clock. I will call the Harrison County Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 to order. If you will rise and join us in the invocation and pledge, please.
St. Augustine said that life is, you can see the Lord, our Jesus Christ in life experiences. Yesterday, 32 years ago, was the last episode of Cheers after an 11-year run, and yet yesterday, Norm Worthwitz passed away. No one can deny that the Lord doesn't have a sense of humor and have a perfect home for us. For 11 years, I would race home to watch Cheers with my mom, and that was a life experience. So whether it's high or low, east or west, Father, we thank you that you are ever present in all our conversations, in all we do, and everywhere we go. We often turn our back on you, Lord, but you continually look at us face to face. We praise you and we glorify you in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you notice that there was anybody signed up for it? Dave Oliverio. Yes.
Thank you for this time. My name's Dave Oliveria, the mayor of Lost Creek. I've been watching the Zoom calls, and I understand the Rails to Trails is on your agenda today, so this might be a little early in the conversation. What I want you to know is that coming from the south, the first town you see coming into the county is the town of Lost Creek. Yeah, we do not have the big new buildings or the fancy restaurants, but what we do have along the Rails to Trails is a combination convenience store, gas station, a new dollar store with drinks and snacks. We have a small park with bathrooms, pavilion available with picnic tables and swing sets and slides for kids. We have the end or the beginning of the trail with a bathroom that the town maintains. We have 4 workers at the town expense that mows and weed eats along the trails as a partnership for the county. We have a veterans event, which we just had last weekend. We have a festival in September that brings in almost over 2,000 people that come to restaurants and hotels in Harrison County. We have a big baseball field with 2 fields, pavilions, and things for kids to play. We've tore down 9 houses and several other things along the trails to help make Lost Creek look beautiful. We're in the process of fixing up our depot along the Rails and Trails. We're in the process of doing a pickleball court, which is going to be about a mile from the Rails and Trails, which will be available to the public. We help to patrol the trail, and the town pays for extra deputies to patrol the town with paying overtime that they have to have. The council and the citizens in Lost Creek are really not feeling the love from the county commission at this time. Should we have do have taxpayers at the end of the county too. The only thing we have had for the trail is a little bit of gravel after the fiber optic cable went in, and then we had to make several phone calls to get that done several years ago. And to conclude, 2 out of 3 commissioners haven't been in the town of Lost Creek that I know of since the elections. We love our little town and feel the money you want to spend on building bridges and whatever else you decide to put with the Rails to Trails would be better spent by maintaining the current trails that you currently have. I thank you for the attention to this matter, but we feel at the southern end of the county, we're just not getting the cooperation we should. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak publicly? Anyone on Zoom wish to speak publicly? Hearing none, we will move to the consent agenda number 2. What's a pleasure?
I missed him. I'm sorry. We started talking and I apologize. This is on me, guys. Please sign in. That's my fault. They were here early to sign.
Yes.
Okay, is this working? Can you hear me? We are with Bi-County Nutrition. I'm Julie Snyder. I am just coming today, or we are, I guess, to let you know about the staff at the 4-H center. We have had our elimination dinner there for several years. I've been in charge of it for the last 3, and every single time I deal with Renee Courtney there, I get a lot of attitude and she is extremely rude. To my staff this past dinner, they were in the kitchen cleaning up afterwards and she starts coming in and taking pans and saying, oh, well, I'll have to scrub this since you guys didn't get the spaghetti sauce out of it. Well, we didn't serve any spaghetti, so that wasn't even our pan that was in there. And then she told them not to take any of their stuff, that they got all new pans and lids and that we better not take any of it. The cart, she threatened that we better not take her cart that we were using to take stuff out to put back on the van. That's just like a small clip of the things that she has said, and she made my staff feel very mistreated. I've had issues with her every single time I've had a conversation with her. And we really just wanted to bring that to your attention because I think something needs to be done. Because we love that venue. We love having our event there. And she just makes it extremely unwelcoming, I guess. And that's all.
We're very appreciative of using the venue. It's wonderful, ample parking, and we have like
Michelle, identify yourself, please.
Michelle Beto. I'm on the board of Bi-County Nutrition. And we have about 300 people in attendance, and it's a great event. It's our largest fundraiser for Bi-County Nutrition. If nobody's familiar with it, it's somewhat like Meals on Wheels that we deliver to people that aren't able to get out or don't have capabilities of having food for themselves and all that. But again, as Julie said, every year it's something with her. She started about the garbage. We have never taken the garbage out. We've always compiled it and put it together. And this year we drug it upstairs, and it was pouring the rain when we were leaving, and the dumpster's all the way across on the other end of the parking lot. And I just piled it up outside. It probably would have been best just to leave it inside, but she does have an attitude. And again, it's not the first time that she's done this to our organization.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to consent agenda number 2. What's the pleasure? Motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. We're going to move the Carol Kevney estate hearing to the end after we've done all these presentations and funding requests. Payroll change notices, number 3. What's the pleasure? Motion to approve payroll changes A through E, correct? Correct. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. We have no minutes and or amended minutes. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Number 5, requisitions, purchase orders, invoices A, B, C, D, and E. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve requisitions, purchase order and invoices. A from ARPA. Enlarged Tepsiball PSD in the amount of $9,134. B, ARPA Sun Valley requisition number 10 in the amount of $2,750. C, ARPA Sun Valley requisition number 4 for $780 to approve vendor list as presented. D and E quotes as presented.
Okay, motion's been made to approve requisitions, purchase orders and invoices. I'm not gonna read all those. A, as stated by Commissioner Hinkle, A through E. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay, at 10:10, we have a proclamation commemorating the 100th growing season of Vice's Greenhouse Enterprise, West Virginia. Is there anyone here from Vice? Do you want to come on up? And anybody else that wants to come up is welcome to join us. Mayor? Whereas Walter Orville W.O. Vice, 1885 to 1959, while managing the coal company store at Biropa in Harrison County, West Virginia, began ordering seeds for local coal miners and seeing their struggles to germinate them. Had the vision and determination to cultivate the plants himself in coal frames near his home in Enterprise for 1910, giving rise to what would become Vice's Greenhouse. And whereas W. Vice's ingenuity, entrepreneurial spirit, and deep understanding of his community's needs laid the foundation for a small but thriving business that grew from a few coal frames into a large steam-heated greenhouse, first erected in 1925, enabling year-round cultivation of vegetable and flower. And whereas W.O. White, Donna, Vice, 1880 to 1954, played an essential role in the early success of the business through her artistry of floral design, crafting arrangements by hand on the family's dining room table, still in use today. Before the addition of the formal dining design workplace, and whereas the greenhouse business expanded through the dedication of their son, Bob Vice, 1917 to 1983, who, after serving his country during World War II, studied floral design in Philadelphia, returned home to grow the business alongside his wife, Betty Vice, 1924 to 2002, and together they developed the enterprise into a regional supplier with 7 greenhouses serving coal company stores, local retailers, and the community at large. And whereas the tradition of excellence continued with the next generation of Bob Vice II and his wife, Beth Hendrick Vice, assumed leadership, expanded the greenhouses to over 30,000 square feet, modernized facilities, and reaffirmed their commitment to local production by growing approximately 80% of all plants sold on site in Enterprise, West Virginia. And whereas for a century, Vice's Greenhouse has remained a steadfast family-run institution deeply rooted in the community and in the soil of Harrison County, providing generations of families with flowers, vegetables, and memories. And whereas in an era when many retailers act as middlemen, sourcing products from distant regions, Vice's Greenhouse stands as a model of sustainable local agriculture and homegrown tradition, now celebrating its 100th growing season. Now therefore be it resolved that the Harrison County Commission does hereby recognize and honor Vice's Greenhouse on the occasion of its 100th season, and extends its heartfelt congratulations and gratitude to the Vice family for their century-long contribution to the economy, beauty, and heritage of Harrison County. Commemorating the 100th growing season of Vice's Greenhouse in Enterprise, West Virginia, it is in witness whereof we do hereby set our hand and cause the seal of Harrison County, West Virginia to be affixed this 21st day of May, 2025, and the proclamation signed by all three commissioners. That's a great hit. That will make the CEOS. Rick, you want to make it play up? Please. Here. I don't know. No, I turned it upside down. Yeah, you would do that. You would do that. Outreach service of this. And Harrison County CEOs are volunteers whose mission is to broaden public service in our community for the betterment of all its citizens and society as a whole. And whereas working in partnership with WVU Extension Service, members of Harrison County CEOs strive to strengthen the lives of individuals and families in Harrison County through continuing education, leadership development, and community involvement. Whereas throughout West Virginia, more than 3,000 CEOs members make substantive contributions in their communities in numerous ways, including but not limited to supporting education by raising money for college and 4-H scholarship, assisting schools by volunteering in literacy programs, nurturing healthy lifestyles by sponsoring health fairs and breast cancer awareness programs, and helping sustain communities by assisting with flood relief, stocking food pantries, and beautifying public spaces. And whereas to ensure the West Virginia CEOs organizations continue to meet the individual and collective needs of the residents of our rural and urban areas, we must support in every possible way the vital mission of these organizations so that their continued success is assured. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Harrison County Commission does hereby proclaim the week of May 18th and May 24th, 2025 as Community Educational Outreach Service. Be it further resolved that Harrison County Commission recognizes their significant service and contribution to the well-being of family and community. Passed by the Harrison County Commission this 21st day of May, 2025, and also signed off.
I think John has already pictured. Oh, yeah, sure. This is our CEOS week, and we want to focus on things that we do for the community. This had a very large donation that all county clubs made to the Veterans Hospital. We also support the Veterans State Veterans Nursing Home and other organizations, Hope Incorporated, Hospice. We do a lot of work with hospice. So if anybody is interested and wants to check out our activities, please contact the West Virginia Extension Service and they will get in touch with us. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, I think we can get one more item in before our next presentation. Number 6, exoneration, corrective tickets, joint property applications. It looks like we only have exonerations as shown on Exhibit A, correct?
Move to approve exonerations. As presented on exhibit A.
Motion to approve exonerations as shown on Exhibit A. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay, it's 10:20. And I was just thinking about this the other day. So acknowledgement for Jonathan Sparks, David Jones, and Billy Dunn for fire on January 4th in the Erie area of Harrison County. You gentlemen would like to come forward and unless there's others, or we take them. That's it. Better read the flag first. Life-saving award presented to, we will do them one by one. Your recognition of your exceptional leadership and unwavering commitment to duty during the structure fire on Shinson Pike in the Erie area of Harrison County on January 4th, 2025. Your actions directly contribute to saving lives and exemplify the highest standards of service and dedication. We have the Spelk Fire Department. We have Billy Dunn from Spelk Fire Department. And we have David Jones from the Emergency Squad. And hey guys, this is what they did that night, or that, was it that night?
Day.
That day. A lot. And I actually, I didn't really see this on the agenda and at first, because I meant to ask more about it, because we've been discussing this for quite some time. Doing something like that. What they did. And we need to step it up for others that have done some of the things. Now on. But I want to congratulate these guys. I want to thank them. I don't necessarily congratulate. Thank you very much for the service that you do. It's not easy. Any emergency service. David, if you want to.
Oh, I wanna, again, thank you and appreciate what you all do. And I think him that even sitting here with us today or some of your fellow environment or best they can stand up to be recognized, because without this organization, come on, guys, stand up, you guys, fire departments, guys, it's just. And these guys showed that they were willing to take it a step farther than the average person would. And saying to you all, and we can't say enough, people will take this on and either volunteer or it's a job, because it's right up there with being a policeman. They put their lives on the line for everybody to understand the importance of these jobs and volunteers. Again, guys, bless you. Bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Madam President, if I may just give a little bit of background of why these individuals were chosen for this fire. There was a lot of mutual aid that came to this particular fire that day. Chief Billy Dunn did an amazing job commanding the scene, taking care of all that mutual aid coming in, directing them, making sure everyone was accounted for, and not one of the firefighters was injured or anything, which was huge. The two gentlemen from EMS risked their lives and when they got on scene to save two people. There was two that was trapped, or three people that was trapped in the house. They ended up inhaling some of the smoke and stuff themselves, and just an amazing job saving lives and doing, what it's ingrained in them to do. And I think that it's just important that they are recognized, because we truly appreciate our first responders.
10:25, we have special funding request for BHS Thespian Troop number 7549, requesting $2,400 for two students in need of sponsorship for the International Thespian Festival 2025 at Indiana University, Bloomington, Indiana, from June 23rd through the 28th. Is there anyone here to speak to that?
Yes, I'm on Zoom. Can you hear me?
Yes, and you are?
I am Trina Byard. I am the artistic director of Bridgeport High School Theater and the director of the Thespian Troupe. This year, Bridgeport High School Thespian Troupe 7549 entered their annual West Virginia Thespian Festival one-act play competition. In February at the Robinson Grand, they competed against 5 other schools. We placed in the top 3 and advanced to the state level. At the state level, they competed against dozens of schools around the state to receive a perfect score, garnering them a superior ranking. And then their play was chosen to represent the state of West Virginia as the chapter select play to go to the International Festival this summer in Bloomington, Indiana. Only one play is selected per state, and that was our play. So we're very honored to take that trip. We have 30 students going on the trip, and we are seeking funding to help cover the cost of a few students in need.
Okay, the motion's been made to allocate the $2,400 to the BHS Thespian Troop number 7549. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Okay, number 7, consideration of approval of a project fund requisition for the payment of costs associated with the project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2019 bonds issued for the Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District Series 2021A and B Development District number 3 White Oaks Project number 2 and Series 2008A Charles Point Project number 2 Northland Bay. We have one 2008A series for $1,858.50. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve 7A Series 2008A in the amount of $1,858.
Motion to approve 7A in the amount stated by Commissioner Hinkle. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 8, review, discuss, consider, approve, and sign an incumbency certificate authorizing MuniCap to perform TIF-related administrative functions on behalf of the commission. MuniCap is the administrator retained by the commission to perform services related to the Series 2008 and 2019 TIF bonds. Revised certification forms are requested occasionally by MuniCap in order to keep file documents current. This form gives MuniCap limited permissions to perform certain administrative tasks on behalf of the commission relating to these bonds. This form was most recently signed by the commission December 2023. Motion to approve and affix the appropriate signature or signatures to the incumbency certificate authorizing MuniCap to perform TIF-related administrative functions on behalf of the commission. Is there any discussion?
This is just for bonds that are listed
Yes,
and no other TIF districts.
correct.
We don't need, I think Clarksburg has this TIF district, it doesn't matter to us or the airports.
It, I can't answer whether it matters to us, but we didn't receive anything from Unicap about them. I'm not sure what they do for those bonds.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, at 10:30, we have a special funding request for Mountaineer Food Bank requesting $10,000 to support the Veterans Table Program in Harrison County by providing monthly food assistance to 20 veterans for 1 year. Is there, okay.
I'm Becky Conrad with the Mountaineer Food Bank. I believe I was able to speak with you all back in September during Congress Action Month. And we submitted a request to support our Veterans Table Program as read here in Harrison County. We do that program over at the VA park next to the VA hospital. Things like the distribution. We're serving 1,372 unduplicated veterans. Different every month. They come through each month at our distribution, which is a total of 690 households. And we're doing 5,408 duplicated. So that means 5,408 different veterans are coming through our distribution, sometimes more than all the time, more than once a month. But we serve 1,372 unduplicated one time every month for the last year. We have this really cool program called Service Insights that we've been able to implement. It's able to allow us to track a lot more demographics with that program. So we're able to show, and I have some papers here I'll read for you guys. We're able to show on that where those veterans are coming from. We're able to see that about 35 to 40% of those are right here in Harrison County that we're serving. So we felt that, you know, coming to you guys and asking to support those 20 veterans for this year, we can ensure that they are local, you know, veterans being provided those boxes through our program. Serve about 1,400 veterans throughout the state each month through our program, because we have 2 other sites that we're to the Harrison County state. So yeah, that's what we're doing there. And in addition to our Veterans Table Program, we have other things here. We have 17 partner agencies that we provide support to as well that are also doing PD. And then also in regard to the veterans, we know that 50% of the veterans that we serve are of a senior demographic, with 65 or older. So a lot of these are also, we also partner with the DAV that does home deliveries, direct distributions to the door of those homebound veterans. So we have that program here as well in this county.
Thank you.
Says it for 20 veterans is what this is gonna go towards for food boxes in Harrison County. And how do you determine those 20 veterans?
So again, we're doing that number of 1,372 veterans come through our line there. You know, through our services that program. So we're doing about 366 veterans right here in Harrison County each month. Every month we come through that line. We partner with Harrison or the VA hospital and their service folks that help identify the veterans in need. So we're able to ensure that there's well more than 20 in this area that we are serving. And so we can ensure that those boxes are being supported.
Is there any way for us to track this?
So, yeah, as I said, we do use that Service Insights program. It's relatively new. We started using it last year in July here in our Veterans Table Program. So this July we'll have a full year of data, but I have that data in a paper here I can read for you all that shows look back since July. And that breaks down. So on that, we're asking the veterans, you know, various different questions, which include where they live or where they're coming from. So we can identify to you the exact number of veterans we were serving right here in your.
Any more? I don't have any more
I
questions.
don't, no, I don't have any questions. You have any questions? Thank you. What's the pleasure on the request? Is there a motion for anything on 10:30 item?
I'll make a motion at this point to table it for us to look at financing it in the future. And to see how it falls in with the money that we give out on an annual basis and then revisit it.
Motion's been made to table this item. So we can look into the financing and possibly adding it to something. And is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Okay,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Okay, at 10:35, we have a special funding request for the Benedum Airport Authority requesting $500,000 to assist in finishing the new terminal facility. You don't look like Sean, so. You heard me, so.
Thank you for having me for community. The airport is
Hey,
finishing
Rick,
up a 70
We know you, but identify
Oh,
yourself.
Rick Rock. We're finishing up about $7 million project. Terminal's done, getting ready to do. Sean's actually in a pre-construction meeting right now for the taxiway. We're working on the apron. We've approved the bid, and $25 million over up on the road. City of Bridgeport, Marion County requesting $500,000 from each. Help us complete this project, expect it to be done fourth quarter of this year. And 75% of the project has been paid for by federal aviation administration, state, a great project, local state, federal support, and it's pretty cool benefit to our community the next 100 years. We should have first this last thing you'll see.
Not touching that.
How soon do you need this? Can we do it multiple budgets, or is it?
That'd be fun. Just
I don't know how the rest of the commission feels, but that was one of the questions I had, whether it
I mean,
could be done in.
yeah, because
Two
I'm
fiscal years.
looking at taking what we have in the budget currently and what we have budgeted next year, and
Just add to it.
but we have to watch what we do.
And with that, Madam President, 100,000 is budgeted this year.
And 100 for next year,
And
correct?
100,000 for next year.
So 152 for next year, the rest of it. Okay,
Sorry, say that again.
would it be okay if we just added 152 each allocation and just the 250, 250, and just do a budget revision this year, and then next year have it in the budget is 250.
Mhm.
But where are you taking the money?
So we can take it from 026,
Which is,
possibly, the community improvement.
okay, because I'll tell you why I'm asking. We have cut budgets. And I'm not that I don't support what you're doing, believe me. But I want to see this happen, but not taking money from other than the one fund. Because we had to cut elected officials' budgets. And I don't feel right taking money, that kind of money.
So with that being said, there's already, like I said, this fiscal year and next fiscal year that starts July 1st, there's 100,000 budgeted already for the airport in those accounts, which is coal severance. And then so the remaining 300,000 could come out of 026, which for more clarification, it's the video lottery money. And we can do an additional 150 and 150 on top of,
That gives us some time to build that back up too, right?
yes, Madam President.
You understand why I'm at?
Yes.
So does somebody want to make a motion to that effect?
How much money is in the general fund right now, Bob? 27? And if it's in-
And in the general fund, not all the bills have come out, but there's like $9 million in general fund, which is 001. But of course, that's all budgeted for and earmarked at this point in time.
they take it out, what account?
026,
The extra.
the extra would come out of 026.
It's the budget revision, take $100,000 out of OT6 this year, and then just add it to the general budget next year for full 250 for a total of $100,000.
So, sir, I wouldn't even have to do a budget revision for it. So there's already the 100,000 that is budgeted in coal severance. So we do a requisition for that 100,000. And then we would do a requisition this fiscal year for 150,000 out of 026. And then next fiscal year, it'll be that 100,000 out of coal severance and then 150,000 out of 026.
Motion as stated by County Administrator.
Okay, Commissioner Chikos has made a motion as stated by the administrator, of which I believe is to take the 100,000 from this year, 100,000 from next year, and take money from 026, which is the video lottery money that we use to fund various fairs and festivals. Is there any more discussion?
Not to exceed 500,000,
Not to exceed $500,000
and to do it over two budget years. Two fiscal years.
over two budget. Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay. Now we will go back to 10:05, the Carol Kevney estate hearing. Thank you, Mr. Varner.
No,
I appreciate it very much.
no problem.
Good morning, Commissioners Treehouse and Thomas and Hinkle. I'm here in my capacity as a fiduciary commissioner. I'll give you a quick update on this, but first, I'd just like to say I heartily support and echo the congratulations to our first responders. Those of us that live out in the country have a real appreciation for what they go through sometimes to even get there. So that said, by way of a brief rehash, if you will, we were here about a year ago on the Kevney estate, and there was a number of problems with it. It wasn't moving forward. The executor was not doing things that needed to be done. And if you'll recall, we agreed after some interaction with members of the beneficiary class to table this for a while and see if they could get up to speed. They did get a bond in place, and they did get a checking account open for the estate. Since then, my office, as well as my assistant, June, have not received anything in the way of annual appraisements or updates as required by code. The real problem is there's a very severe dysfunctionality amongst the various siblings. There are several siblings. They simply can't agree on what needs to be done. There was an effort to see if an auction would take care of this. This is I forget exactly, was it 20 acres, 24? 26 acre piece. And it has a house on it that is in significant disrepair. I realize that's a contested issue too, but efforts were made to get an auctioneer to come in. It's the only asset in the estate. There is no cash in the estate, and the executor lives there and has not been paying rent, and that's become a bone of serious contention. Certain of the heirs or beneficiaries have beleaguered us about do this, do that, and their requests are always something that's outside of my jurisdiction and my powers as a fiduciary commissioner. And so a year ago, we were in here based on a petition to remove. One of the alleged beneficiaries has also filed one of those, I believe, a year or so ago. And for a while, I thought we were getting back on track, and then everything went off the tracks again. I received threats. My assistant has been verbally abused and totally without provocation, and nothing's moving. And just within the last 2 weeks, we became aware that a neighbor out in that neck of the woods has asserted that there's a homeless camp down on this property and sent pictures of what appears to be an outside campground. It couldn't possibly have facilities. And I don't really take a position on that, but I know that it's been raised. And I know the person that raised it is not the type to go quietly into the dark, if you will. So that's probably yet to be dealt with. And it strikes me that the easiest way is for somebody with authority go in there and move this thing forward. That'll be disputed. They won't want to do that, but some of them will. There is one heir, Cindy Dove, that I believe is with us by Zoom today, who has been helpful in trying to get this moving forward, but she doesn't live around here. And she was a backer, if you will, and a supporter of Mr. Zarowski, who is the executor, and was hoping to get that on track. And to the extent anything was done to move this forward, she did it as far as the estate account and what have you. There's been assertions that there was a significant offer for this property. And I said, show it to me. Show me where that's going to fly. And nothing came of that. And then there was apparently a couple of cash offers, and they're just not what some of the people think it should be. I think the only way you're going to get this resolved is to put it at auction, and the auction company will requires a down payment if it's to be absolute auction. And that way they're sure of getting a fee. I'm sorry, if it's not absolute auction, I said that wrong. If they don't get the reserve bid, then they still get paid, I think it was $2,000 to cover their advertising costs. One of the people challenged that and said that the only reason he was in the picture was because he was a very close friend with June Eshman, my assistant, and they go to the same church. And another person actually referred her to them. So we have really bent over backwards to try to help them to get something moving along. And the latest missive I got was that they were going to come here and completely rip me up and rip my assistant up at this hearing. With that said, I would like to reserve a little time for rebuttal if somebody takes a shot at that, because unlike them, I believe we have the facts and all the facts. What will make this happen and get it over the finish line is if the executor is removed and it's referred to the sheriff, which we were right on the cusp of doing last year until everybody said, well, let's take a time out and see if they can get it moving. And they come in and do it. I've seen that happen before. The sheriff will come in, won't put up with any nonsense. And if it takes an auction, you get an auction, and then it's done. As most of you know, I've been doing this for decades now, and this is definitely the most difficult estate that I've had referred to me. And I get referrals to sit as a special fiduciary commissioner in a lot of the surrounding counties when they have a hot potato. so that said, I think I've got a fairly level-headed look at this, and I just don't see any other way to get it done. So the request, of course, is to you all to remove the executor and get it in the hands of the sheriff and get it done. If you have any questions.
Well,
fine.
I
If not-
do. I mean, because I believe when we do this with the sheriff, they have to start all over.
Pardon me?
When it goes to the sheriff, and Joni and Tabby, you can correct me if I'm wrong. That we have to start all over. They have to file, get appointed. Pay the fee for that. And if it goes to, the property goes to sale, you'll have to get, do we have to get another appraisal, or who has the appraisal for this? See the. Okay, okay. I mean, this, and I'm just gonna say this because it's how, I don't believe these kinds of things belong here. And this is gonna be at the county's expense. These things end up being paid by county funds. That's my only, and I know this is probably the only reason, and I don't know that this is gonna help. When you get people like this, I don't know if there's anything that can help. But that's my 2 cents.
Well, I understand your position. If I could respond.
Is there a way that this can go directly to circuit court?
I'm glad you brought that up. Because from the very first time this came up as an issue, I told, and I believe that was Ms. Maddox that had contacted me at that point. I said, the only relief you're going to get on this is if you go to circuit court and take up a challenge that way. I do not have the power as fiduciary commissioner to make some of the rulings that you want. She wants me to evict Mr. Zarowski. I can't do that. That takes a court proceeding. She wants me to force him to pay rent. I can't do that. That takes a court proceeding. And if it gets into circuit court, well, first of all, I do understand they tried and no lawyer would touch it. So that's going to be another complicating delay factor. Because this property is fairly close proximity to the area where I live, I go past it from time to time, and it's going to continue to deteriorate. Now, raw land doesn't deteriorate per se unless it's got a homeless encampment on it. But the house is not going to qualify for bank financing, I don't believe, because it has a trailer attached to the house like a camper and kind of built in. And the appraiser that went out there, I'm sorry, was it the appraiser or the auction? It was the appraiser, said you'll never get a bank to touch that. I'm certainly sympathetic to the fact that there's a cost factor, but.
And you also brought up, this has been in foreclosure and they've been digging it out a couple times,
It
right?
has been in foreclosure more than
Let it go.
once. And I thought if they would proceed ahead with the foreclosure,
Then we're done.
that would solve a lot of problems.
That's what I thought until I found out last night, somebody.
Well, it was set to be foreclosed on just a few days ago, and I have not heard feedback as to how that happened. Ultimately, it's going to be foreclosed upon if you don't take some other avenue.
Because then there's no.
The sad
there's
part of
nothing to fight
this,
about.
yeah, the sad part of this is as it continues to deteriorate, there's going to be less money left over to distribute. Okay. And I've seen that happen before too. They get caught up in the fight and the sibling rivalry or whatever it is, and they fight to the point where there's nothing left to fight over. So, I mean, I stand behind the motion or the petition to remove, but I think your other options are going to drag this on for quite some time. If in fact they even get any bidders, these so-called cash offers, I've never seen any verification of that.
And if we
Yeah.
take it and put it.
Excuse me, hello, this is Cindy Dove. I do want to have an opportunity to speak as well.
Well, and I understand that, and I have no problem with that. We have provided your office with a significant compilation of what's not easy reading, but it's
Been there.
couple inches thick. So
Thank you.
again, with that said, I'll be delighted to hear what Ms. Dove has to say, but like I said, I may want to have a chance to discuss it as well.
Okay. Ms. Dove, you're free to speak at this time.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I just want to counter a couple of the comments that were made. The first one, that there were no offers, and there, I do have offers in writing that I submitted copies to Mr. Varner's office. There were multiple offers. They were cash offers because, like he said, you know, it'll be challenging to get a bank to finance, but I did have two in writing after the fact that they asked me to submit offers in writing. So I did submit two of those. The other point I'd like to make is he said that John didn't pay rent. And I think I submitted statements to the commission. I'm hoping that you did actually get them and read them. That John did get help from the a program there, and he, on his behalf, about $20,000 was paid on the property on his behalf. That money would not have been available if he hadn't done the work and applied for it and got help with that. So he has contributed $20,000 financially, which is more than any other member. I'd also like to say that I get where Mr. Varner's coming from. I personally was hoping that the house would be auctioned too, but I don't understand why we would do all of this. Why can't we just override these two siblings that are opposing the sale? I mean, you have five or four of the siblings that, you know, we have an offer, we need to sell it because it's really a debt, not an asset. However, you have some people that are intentionally sabotaging the success of the sale. And my biggest issue is they know very well, as does everyone in the family, that my mother wanted the property sold and the funds distributed. And it's gone on way too long. But I don't like the way this has shifted, that, you know, I don't like the direction it's taken, that, you know, John's doing this and that now there's squatters. There has been so many accusations, so many falsities that have been thrown out from the family. I don't think it's fair. You know, John has done, he's not perfect, but he has done his best. He has maintained the property. There's 5 acres there just of lawn to cut the grass. He cuts the grass, he fixes the problems and takes care of it. And the family members causing all this havoc is not his fault. He has been working, like I said, I've been working. I've had the property listed on Zillow. I have had offers, and the offers keep saying no. So rather than going and doing, why is it that the sheriff can force the sale? However, we can't. I don't understand what the difference is.
If I can respond to that, I might be able to shed a little light on that. And Ms. Dove has been cooperative. I want to go up front with you on that. She's been the only one that's been what I would call seriously helpful. But when she says, why can't we override that? There has been material sent to us that suggests that there was a will, but no one has been able to find it, whether it's lost, destroyed, whatever. I don't have any idea, but it's not been produced. So we're proceeding as intestate.
Do we have a copy of the will somewhere?
Pardon me?
Do we have a copy of the will?
Don't have anything, do we, Jane?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And
Okay.
so, you know, then it becomes because if there was a will and the will gave the executor the right to sell the property, you wouldn't need all of the signatures and you wouldn't need the agreement. Without that, you go by the laws of descent and distribution, and that means everybody's got to sign. So you get one holdout and just you hit the brick wall. You can't go any further unless you take it to circuit court.
And that's what the sheriff.
And there'll be a
did.
cost and expense of that. And to the extent that the estate is a party, once it is sold, the cost of that legal representation are going to come out of the proceeds, if in fact it's enough to cover it. So I can't think of a better way than to move it forward, because none of them apparently are going to hire a lawyer. So, you know, we're kind of stymied and we're looking to you all for help.
No, we're gonna get stuck with it. Yes, please come up here and please identify yourself.
And Madam President, Ms. Dove Her statement that she referred to is what I forwarded to the commissioners and the county clerk on Monday.
Hello, my name is Amanda Maddox. I'm one of the beneficiaries. The issue with it is I initially put in as soon as they asked for John to be over the estate. He wasn't capable of taking care of it. The plan was for everybody to pay for him to live as long as they wanted us to. All of this is about making us pay for him to live for free. And I am the one, I just paid $7,600 to take my mother's house out of foreclosure because I think what they're doing is wrong. I have been saying since the beginning that the property is being destroyed, and all I get told is I'm unreasonable and I'm not cooperating. It's very unfair. I shouldn't have to have my children giving me money. I have a son, well, he just turned 18. I have an 18-year-old child that gave me $600 towards that $7,600. I have another 17-year-old that gave me $300 out of his paycheck to help save the house because the adults can't seem to get it together. The people that want him as administrator, it's split evenly down the middle. The people that want him there want him to live for free and to force everybody else to pay.
What is your ultimate goal with this?
Well,
I mean,
originally it was to sell the home, but now the
okay,
home has
okay,
been
now
destroyed.
Now you've destroyed a house, but you still
So
want to save this.
I still want to save it. I went in
For
there,
what?
I want to fix it because that was my grandmother's house. That's
You think it's gonna be, you're gonna be able to
absolutely.
rehab?
Absolutely. That is the plan I have offered several times. I try my hardest. I don't know what to do. I have saved the house
So
three
you're gonna
times.
let this house continue to destroy and deteriorate?
But
We-
that's-
or we turn it over to the sheriff and it gets sold.
So
That's
the
what's
thing
gonna
is,
happen probably today.
okay, and I wanted to speak about too, Mr. Varner had mentioned they had an appraiser out. I had a conversation, you guys have a paper with you that shows where I had a conversation with June and asked her what the house was appraised for. We are not given any information on anything. The house was never appraised. It was literally, it had an opinion of value is what it was called, not an appraisal. Also, as Mr. Varner said, we were told about cash sales where there was never any evidence. Every time the house is going into foreclosure, we have a cash sale where I spend my money, my tax money every year that I get and save the house for nothing to happen. And I don't know what to do. And I'm literally drowning in debt trying to save my grandma's house because I don't want to see it lost to nothing. I don't understand why somebody that can't afford to pay for it would be allowed to just stay there and destroy the property.
Don't get it. I just don't get it. Sorry, I don't understand. You're gonna let this house deteriorate
Ma'am,
and possibly get sold where it could be sold in some kind of good shape.
it's
Could've.
never been for sale. If you actually look where she says,
Did I say that it could be? It could be. And you all could split the money, which is probably, I mean, I heard somewhere that's what somebody wanted done. But no, we have to butt heads with each other.
but
and get
ma'am,
nowhere.
I'm not trying to butt heads. From my knowledge, there's never been an actual offer on the house. As Mr. Varner said, there was cash offers, but we never seen any evidence of that.
Would
I-
it matter? Would it matter?
I mean, when you call and you ask, is this a valid offer? Nobody can say it's a real offer. The offer I was told was $70,000. June herself sent me a message telling me $70,000 was too low. And then they turned around a month later and said, now we have one for 80. And when I asked if the house was ever appraised, I never got a response.
Did you ever think about getting it appraised yourself? You spent all
So
this-
that's the
spent all
other
this
thing.
Money to.
So that's the other thing. They keep telling me to appraise it. I am not the administrator or the executor of the estate. Why do I have to keep coming out of pocket? Why do I
Why
have?
should somebody else have to take it out of their pocket?
As the executor, it's actually Mr. Zarowski's job to do some of these things that he's not did. He's not taken care of the property.
That's not how it works, but that's okay. I'm done. I don't have any more questions. Comments?
I have a couple clarifications if you all don't have any further questions.
I just have one for him.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I said, I just have one for you.
Okay.
What keeps us from just removing this whole mess from you and just telling them to go back out and have fun.
Exactly.
You gotta forgive me, I don't have my hearing aids in
I'm
today.
just saying, what if we just go ahead and pull this from you and just tell them, go back out and have fun, they can get their lawyers, they can do whatever they
Well,
want.
that
We're
would
just
be
gonna
my
walk
preference,
away.
but either the lawyers won't take it or they say they can't afford it, which makes sense because they're fighting over something of, ever diminishing value. And now, is your mother still, you say you're a granddaughter?
I was legally adopted by Carol.
Oh.
That's my mother.
You're,
Mildred is my biological
you were adopted, how do you get the granddaughter?
mother. Mildred Selchevsky is my biological mother. She gave me away when I was 6 weeks old, and I was sent to my grandmother, who would have been Carol Keevely.
And she
William
legally
Keevely.
adopted you?
They legally
Okay.
adopted me. The lawyer in your guys' hallway did my adoption.
That was unclear. I wanted that clarified because it could affect whether you're even an heir or not.
And that's the other thing they keep doing. They say because I'm adopted, I have no rights to.
Well, let Mr. Varner finish.
I didn't say
I'm
that,
sorry.
but the reality is if they could get together and buy, one or more buy their interest out or she buys the other interest out, because there's no guarantee she's going to get any of this money back that she's put in to keep it going. Because if the expenses continue to mount and there's going to be insurance and there's going to be taxes and all of that business, and at some point, the crippled cow is going to roll over and die. And I don't know how close they're getting to that, but if they can't come to some sort of agreement or get a judicial order, then the mechanism, as I understand it, is to get the sheriff in, let him do it, let him set up the auction and move forward. I don't know, because this just happened, there was a foreclosure set for earlier this month.
No,
Did
it
that
was,
get?
it was last month. It was on the 9th.
Somebody
I
has to
paid
make it.
$7,600.
Okay, so that's where that comes
After
from.
begging everybody to donate anything to help save the house.
And so the payments from now on are not going to be met.
It's 2,200. I asked Mr. Zarowski if he was willing to make any payments. He said he has to work on his farm.
I hope you're getting a sense of what I'm trying to
I
wade through.
believe me, I understand when I read everything. This
Yeah,
is
oh,
my
good.
first rodeo.
I'm sure you did. So I'm going to sit down and shut up now, but as far as I'm concerned, as a fiduciary commissioner, I don't think any headway will be made with any of the siblings acting as executor, executrix, or whatever the situation is. I think it's going to take a firm hand that'll go line up the auction company. And they could, if the sheriff's handling it, he can make a deal with the auction company and say, we can't pay you the 2,000 right now, but we want it sold and we'll be giving you priority out of the proceeds to get it paid.
I'm seeing a head shake no.
Pardon me?
I'm seeing a head shake no from the tax office. The ones that deal with this from the sheriff's office.
Or you can let it go. And the bank will foreclose and any one or two or three of you can go as a group and bid it in. That wipes all the rest of it out. You get a clean title of the foreclosure. And the truest, the truest test of fair market value is what it'll bring in an advertised auction. It's not what you want it to bring. It's not what you think it's worth. It's what the market will bear. And actually, these auctions have been bringing, in my mind, more than some of this stuff is worth. People get auction fever and don't want to let somebody outbid them, but I don't know of another alternative. So, much as I hate to, I kind of got to drop it in your lap now and figure it out from there.
It's all right.
Okay, excuse me.
Anybody, Mr. Zarowski, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I just was reading the article.
Can you please come up to the microphone? So
I just got a text from somebody that, according to West Virginia law, is I could petition the court and not have to have everybody's signature on to list this house and put it up for sale. And accept an offer that is reasonable and fair game. And I'm willing to do that. And that way there, they can't be stopped. I tried to get Mr. Garner and them to. I had a real estate company come in and give me a price. And they gave me a price and I tried to get everybody, he wouldn't list it. Unless if I got everybody's signature that they would sign off.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get everybody to sign, so I couldn't list the house even. So if I can get the court to say I can list the house and not have to have everybody's signature, as long as it's above a fair price, then I should be able to sell it. But I can't list it right now. The real estate company's still waiting for me to give him written permission to a sign off so that if he gets it sold for a certain amount of money, that he would do it, but he won't do it until I give him the paperwork.
I can't speak to what you're saying, but it sounds like a plan to me.
What I was trying to say, you said you used because the house has never been listed.
Yes, it has.
Okay, I'm not gonna get into the squabble. She said, he said, I've heard enough of it already. You don't think it's been listed? It probably has not been listed, but I think they had an auctioneer to sell it and nobody would sign off on that. So that's what I'm taking from this today.
Thank you.
It's actually even worse than that. I've never been presented with a written contract sale. There's never been any earnest money paid. And frankly, until the estate's settled, which can't happen until it's sold, foreclosure or what else, they can't pass their title. You know, you'll have an unsettled estate in the middle of it. So all of what you're hearing, I think they think sounds good, but it's totally unworkable.
Tell you the truth, give it to the sheriff. Don't matter to me. I'll pack up and I'll go somewhere. House will be vacant and they can get, she can take care of the upkeep on it. Mowing the grass and everything else.
Anybody have anything else? Better goes to foreclosure and then they're done. There's nothing they can do. There's nothing left.
So what about the things that were there?
Right now, we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do here, okay?
I'm sorry, they see this when they go into life like everything. Families are found, I hate to admit it. That's what I.
So you all say that if we give it to you, you can't allow it to go into foreclosure. You can't allow it to be sold for taxes. And if it's ready to go into foreclosure, when we hand it to you, you have to get it out of foreclosure.
It's not right now.
Then the sheriff's not gonna.
No.
We're gonna pay out money to sell something. Do you all get paid back out of the sale for whatever the county puts out? From the sale? We know what the. We know how much it's owed on the property.
We actually have a appraisal done.
Have to pay that.
And then you would get your money back for all your expenses.
Have you ever in the past? Okay.
Not all. That's why we have to come to you guys.
And the estimated
estimated.
Ms. Maddox believes there's only 19,000 owed on it.
I can show it to them.
What's that? Okay, but it ought to bring enough to cover that. And to answer.
Yeah, but then we don't get our
Peter's
money
question,
because we gotta pay that.
if they submit legitimate expenses that they incurred in keeping it alive, so to speak, that's a fiduciary commissioner approval matter, as I understand it. And if they're legitimate, that should be reimbursed out of the proceeds from the foreclosure. Now, what the
But they can
claims
file
do-
claims against it to get their money back, right?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
They can file their claim to get their money back from where they,
I'm not sure that's right.
oh, I'm just asking, that's why I'm,
They can certainly ask, but it's not a technical proof of claim. Because proofs of claim are claims that arose during the decedent's lifetime, not thereafter.
Okay.
If I'm reading the statute right, I think I'm okay on that, but, I don't know what it will bring net. There'll be an auctioneer's commission, there'll be a payoff to the bank, and the bank will have some foreclosure costs. But there still ought to be enough money to take care of legitimate expenses and have something left to divvy up. And I would say, I heard your comment, Commissioner Thomas, that, the sheriff gets in, you gotta start a lot of things over again. We'll give him a full and complete copy of our file and all the summaries, so he ought to be able to move fairly quickly.
I've offered to continue paying because I'm already paying a mortgage on a home that I'm not allowed even on the property. I've offered to go out there and stay there and continue paying the payments. Nobody wants me to actually be on the property. But I'm expected to continue paying for it.
I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the petition to remove John Edward Zaworski as administrator and to appoint Robert G. Matheny II, sheriff, as the administrator per the petitioner James A. Varner this May 21st, 2025.
okay, the motion has been made to grant a petition to remove John Edward Zarowski as administrator of the estate of Carol Eveney and appoint Robert G. Matheny II, sheriff, as administrator of the estate. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm going to oppose it. So motion carried.
Excuse me, I didn't.
It's being handled. It'll be handed over to the sheriff.
Okay. Is
Number
there
nine.
a printout like of your decision or?
Well, there's an order that will be signed.
Okay, can I get a copy of that here at a later date or?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, number 9, review, discuss, consider approval for Thrasher to put the Meadowbrook Bridge project out for bid.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for waiting, Mr. Warner. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Doesn't matter to me. You want to hear from Chad?
On this subject?
Yes.
No.
Okay, the motion's been made to approve Thrasher putting the Meadowbrook Bridge out for public bid. Is there any discussion? I think we're getting the cart before the horse here. Because I think we don't have a trail to, and we don't have a trail from the bridge. I think we need to get that before we think about putting in a bridge. That's just my 2 cents. But we don't have the trail done. There's other areas of the trail that need to be looked at that can be utilized. Then we'd be spending money on something that really can't be utilized at this time, and it's gonna take some money to get there, to get to it and get past it. I mean, I'm all for connecting these trails, but let's get the trails that we're connecting up to where they can be utilized, and a lot of them are not. That's just what I'm thinking.
Get the bridges first, because the land doesn't go anywhere. It's like, you know, like on Quarter H, the bridges were built, and then we thought the land built. And like on 79, now you see the bridges being widened, so you have a 6-lane.
Excuse me, Patsy, we can't hear you.
But bridges are always done first. It's 2,500 years old. The Romans, you build your bridges because the land's not going to go anywhere, and then you bring it. That's how all of Interstate 79, all 95, every bridge, like right now, if you could travel to Philadelphia on the Panhandle, you know, the bridges are being done first so that they can keep widening the road. It's always the bridges, guys, because land doesn't go anywhere. And I mean, this has been 4 years in the works. No, 5. There's been countless trips to Charleston, countless meetings to District 4, countless meetings to Thrasher. I mean, money's been spent, survey, study after study. No.
I'll just point out, Patsy, that nobody's been able to show me a signed contract for this bridge to do this work.
Well, it's already been voted on forever ago.
I couldn't find it in the agendas anywhere.
That's
The bridge over the West Fork, we started it, and for some reason, this bridge jumped ahead of the West Fork Bridge. I don't understand why we stopped the West Fork Bridge from being designed.
It's still being worked on as we speak.
I guess there's a difference of opinion coming to the commission on whether it's being continued or not. And which one went on the back burner and which one went on the front. I thought we were pushing to get the bridge over the West Fork completed. But I just want to state a 9, 10 is review and discuss and consider rail trail projects. So I'd like to vote number 9.
Vote number 9 to do what?
You made a motion to go out to bid.
Yeah.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Number 10 is review, discuss, consider rail trail projects. I just said my piece about the rail trail projects. That's what I think we need to get the trails up so the public can use the trails. And then, but I mean, we've got the bridges, we're working on the bridges. I get it. We need those bridges to connect them. But let's utilize some of the trail that we already have. Let's get it up to where we can use it.
But Madam President, we as a commission have voted to buy equipment, add employees, hire an engineer. We've done our due diligence. I mean,
I'm not saying we haven't,
but why would
but
you?
we haven't done our due diligence to get the trails that we have up to where they're passable, a lot of them.
But why don't you work on that while the bridge is being built? You'd have a whole year.
Because we won't have any money. And how are we gonna pay for the bridge?
Mr. Treecost, do you have the study from Thrasher on closing of open areas that we hired them to do and the cost to close those areas and bring the trail to a finish? Do you have that report that we asked for several years ago? And I don't have it. I haven't found anybody in the commission that has it. But we're working on bridges when I don't have a report that tells me what my total cost is for this, and we hired Thrasher to do this. Are you the one talking with Thrasher and keeping us appraised of what Thrasher's doing? Because I'm confused on why we don't have that report.
Right, Chad, we talk all the time about this. I mean, get permission to allow Chad to speak. Do we not discuss this constantly?
Yes, we did.
And do we know exactly how much the bridge is gonna cost?
No, sir, the whole trail. He was hired to give us the cost of the whole trail.
Well,
He has
David-
not produced that.
David, that's not fair. We just voted to give $500,000 to the airport because,
We voted to have this done 2 years ago.
and it took us 2 years to get to this point with countless trips to Charleston and working with elected officials and newly
Well,
appointed.
tell you what, Patsy, right here is a study that was done. Here was another study that was done, and we're not even following along with what these people said. And you know what? These studies, wow, from back in 2018 say that for us to close up these trails with minor bridges was probably the tune of $8 million more. Back in 18. So explain to me how we're going to accomplish this. That's all I've ever asked, is what the cost is and how we're gonna do it.
Why are you asking that now on this project instead of?
It's
on the
not
other?
this project, Patsy, that project we've gone, this is to discuss rail trail projects going forward for us. Listen,
I have to ask.
spend all the money we want to between Clarksburg and Reynoldsville, finish that trail. Put a trailhead in. We got a grant to build a bridge across the West Fork River. You're not asking me to go out for bid on the bridge that we have a grant for. Why not?
Now, why would you let us spend so much money on studies and traffic and?
I didn't.
What do you mean you didn't? It's
I
not.
show
it's not
me
like
the
this.
signed contract between us and Thrasher.
We have a signed contract with Chad to be our engineer to do his due diligence to make the rail trail grow.
I'm not gonna argue with you about it. You know, there is no contract to build that bridge.
Is it not a contract, Chad, for you to design and work for the commission as our engineer?
Was approved at a county commission meeting, contracts were given to you.
Yeah.
I have not been able to find the signed copy, sign them, but it was approved. at the county commission.
Well, I'm a commissioner that knows, can't find where we approved to do the Meadowbrook Bridge. And I'm more than happy to apologize if somebody can show where we did it. But going forward, under item 10, I would like for us to work on trail projects, completing what we've purchased between Clarksburg and Reynoldsville, and to continue with the West Fork Bridge, and hopefully we still have a grant for that, and to find out what that cost is, and to bring our existing rail trails up to date, so that we know that we have a good trail between Clarksburg and our VA and Lost Creek, and that our other trails are operating, and we should make sure the trail between Shinston and the county line of Marion County is brought up to date and done, and then look at the other, because we're building a bridge and we don't even own property to get to Shinston. And there's a list of landowners in here that's probably 20 people.
Chad, is the Gold Dozen property not that we're connecting? Then what is Mr. Hinkle talking about?
There's another stretch.
Closer to Shinston.
But that's 4 miles away. So why wouldn't we want to build a bridge to go 4 miles to get us even closer to completing the P2P Parkersburg Pittsburgh? I'm confused on why you guys.
So we're gonna build a bridge and we're not sure we can get from P to P.
That's right.
That's my own.
Then again, I'm gonna ask
What
you
am I,
guys.
what am I missing? I mean, is this what other counties do or I mean, do we build bridges and then hope we can finish the trail to cross the bridges? Yeah, but I get that, Chad, but how much is it gonna cost to build this bridge?
2.4.
And we, 2.4, where are we getting that $2.4 million? Okay,
2.4 where?
to build the bridge, I
Which
guess in
bridge?
Meadowbrook? Oh, okay,
But
so,
if that's the case, you haven't gone out and actually determined the cost.
It's not yes, and bridge.
And Madam Administrator, where would you get this?
So you're saying that we'll build this for under $1 million? For $1 million under? And you've gone out and had it priced?
I have not, I've talked to contractors, I've looked at what other bridges cost. They put roughly.
Laura, where?
That bridge has been voted not to go out to bid. I have a motion on the floor for, I think, what we need to work on.
And we also have consideration rail trail projects, item number 10 that we're discussing right now.
And that's what I made the motion for.
No, no, you didn't. You made.
Yes, I made a motion to continue with working and finishing up the rail trail between Clarksburg and Salem that we own, not the state's rail trail. Our rail trail that we purchased from CSX to continue with the bridge over the West Fork where we have a grant to bring up between the VA and the Lost Creek up to proper standards so they can be used. And between Northview and Spelter. And I'll just go ahead and toss in from Kinston to the Marion County line. I think that's more than enough on our plate right now. God knows what that's going to cost us. And we don't need to be spending money on another bridge or buying more rail trail. We can't even afford what I just said. But I'm willing to give it a shot, Patsy. I've been trying to tell you for years. Give me an idea what it's gonna cost. I don't ever see it.
Chad just told you.
He doesn't. I don't
whole
care
trail.
about the bridge. I wanna know what the whole system costs. What's missing? What do we have to do? How many millions are we gonna commit this county to for this rail trail? That's all. It's an easy answer. Somebody can go finish it. These people attempted it. But we didn't even bother to look up what they said back in 2018 and try to continue it. And I want to make part of the record to show that we have a clue on what we're doing.
I want to make it part of the record that it's your opinion that we have a clue what we're doing, and we have worked very well with the state. We have worked very well with Thrasher Engineering, and that we have worked well with the other municipalities. So I appreciate.
Which
all that you've done.
municipalities do we work well
We
with?
worked all.
Okay. I'm just not hearing that from one that's here today. I mean, we talking Shinston? I don't want to even get into the Shinston discussion.
Why? Go ahead and get into the Shinston.
Nope,
Get into it,
I'm going to,
because there's no negative to win
for you,
for the citizen.
for you.
okay, the motion's been made to work on the trails from Reynoldsville to Clarksburg, look into where we are with the bridge across West Fork.
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
The trail between the VA and Lost Creek,
the VA and Lost Creek.
Northview to
Northview to
Spelter.
Spelter,
And
and Shinston to the Marion County line.
yeah, I think those are pretty big projects.
So they
Not
should
a
have
lot of
been
money.
projects all along. That's my point.
They are projects all.
Well, they are, but then nothing gets done, Patsy.
But Madam President,
Believe me, I've ridden on
That
those trails
falls on-
and they're not rideable
But-
unless you got tires this wide. And I don't have a bike that has tires that wide, so. Okay, any more discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
no.
Okay, motion carried. Number 11, review, discuss, consider State Auditor's Office pulling tickets from May 15th tax sale, potential executive session pursuant to 69A4B9 to consider matters involving or affecting the purchase, sale, or lease of property, advanced construction planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving commercial competition, which if made public might adversely affect the financial or other interest of the state or any political subdivision.
I mean, if you want to go into executive session, fine, I'm fine. It's up to you.
Is this your item?
Yes, ma'am. It was, I talked with both attorneys about this and they think that the commission needs to address to the auditor the pulling of these tickets and find out from the auditor exactly why the tickets were pulled. It's been said that from correspondence that the taxes were not figured properly. And I think the county needs advice from the auditor on how we're supposed to handle these tickets that were pulled. And to properly from the auditor's office to explain to us how these taxes should be collected and how they should be calculated, because evidently we did not, including UNICAP, know what they were doing. And I think we need to get clarification from the auditor. I think we need to ask them for.
How did you want to ask that? Did you want to have Laura contact them and see if we
I
can get
think we need to,
information?
that, and I think we also need to follow up with a letter on how they told us they pulled them. I think we need to ask them how to advise us how to move forward with the tickets pulled for the reasons they pulled them. Because we requested that they be sold and they did not follow our requests, so I think we don't have anything other than.
I'd just like to know if they have to honor our request. That's the only thing I want.
Well, I think that's all can be part of the letter.
That's my only question to them.
But I think our attorney.
I don't think they do.
Send them out to try to get this information. Because I don't know how the tax office could put anything back on the tickets. And I'll just say the other thing that surprises me that these tickets were pulled because we were told they were incorrect. And certain things weren't added. And when those invoices went out to the taxpayer, all taxpayers have the right to do what? Learn? Review them, and if they don't like what those tax bills say, they do what?
Make an appointment to schedule a hearing for Board of Equalization review.
And did those tax tickets ever come to us for Board of Equalization and review? So there wasn't an issue with those tax tickets until the sale by the state. So again, I'm not sure. I would like the auditor to explain to this commission how you bypass us.
Because I think they probably can as a state agency.
But we're by state law, you're supposed to come to us if you're not satisfied with your tax ticket. And if there was an issue with that tax ticket.
But is there something that says you may be able to take it to the auditor and bypass everybody?
Well, that's for the auditor to let us know, but I just want you to understand,
I understand completely.
we're sitting here with, I'm not sure what to do going forward, and if this is the case for all tax tickets, then we don't need a Board of Equalization review. Just wait, write it out.
Well, tickets have been pulled before. Haven't we pulled tickets? Hasn't the county pulled tickets before in the past?
I mean, I believe we've done forbearance agreements that have been turned, pulled the tickets, but I don't think we've just pulled tickets.
I'm not so sure about that, but what do we do in those cases? They come up again later?
I don't know. I just would like a letter from our attorneys to
I don't have an
Address-
issue if the attorneys want to write the letter.
address
They-
the auditor
They
on
can
how
do
we're
it
to
and
proceed.
charge us $250.
That's fine. Well, I would like. But
We need a motion on that?
Yes, ma'am, I'm asking for a motion for the attorneys to address the sale and why it wasn't sold.
So the motion is for the attorneys, and I'm taking the attorneys are Trey,
Trey Zimmerman and Thomas Amon.
okay, to send a letter to the auditor to explain what our next steps are, if any, and how they came to this. Is that
Yes, ma'am.
okay?
Is there, for the record, we're gonna pay people to do this for us because our families got hurt last week.
No, sir, we're doing this because I don't know how those sheriff's office would even begin to know how to address the tickets because nothing's going to change in the way we calculated the taxes for the upcoming tax year.
Is this
And
the
it's
first
not-
time this? Sorry, go ahead.
And
Go
it's
ahead.
not fair for this county to have tickets pulled when we don't know why they were pulled, other than we were told that the assessor didn't calculate them correctly.
Have other taxpayers' tickets been pulled before, you know? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, I'd just like to know how, that they can do
Sean
that.
opposed,
That's
no.
all. Any opposed? I think that was the opposition. Okay. Motion carried. Number 12, review, discuss, consider purchase of Ellis potential executive session pursuant to 69A4B9 to consider matters involving or affecting the purchase, sale, or lease of property, advanced construction, planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving commercial competition, which if made public might adversely affect the financial or other interest of the state or any political subdivision.
Madam President, I've been working with the property owners to try to figure out a solution. What we proposed to them last time was cutting out the projector, or not the projector, the screen in the apartment from the sale. And of course, monetarily, nothing changes. We just didn't want that section. In negotiations with the property owner, they're willing to give up that lifetime estate living rights. They've requested a 6-month lease that's renewable for one term for another 6 months while they get into a new place. And also they'd be signing a waiver in the meantime. And the price would stay the same and we'd be able to close by the end of June.
I'll make the motion to do as the county administrator spoke up, to allow the family to live there between 6 to 12 months till they can establish new residency, assume the responsibility of that, and that way we can complete the sale and begin the future of our new 40 acres to develop.
Okay, the motion is to let the administrator continue
No.
on with.
Go ahead and make the agreement.
That's what I was gonna say. Okay, just whatever Commissioner Treecost said. Is that the right amount of time that you agree to?
According to Trey, who I've reviewed and gone over the documents, been working with, he put in there June 30th that we should be able to close by. If for some reason that needs change, we can always amend that.
I mean, as far as her in the building,
She needs about 6 to 8 months.
but he said 6 to
Tentatively.
12. Is that
Yes, so
sufficient?
it would
Okay.
be a 6-month lease and then it can be renewable one time for up to 6 months.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 13, review, discuss, consider budget revisions, general county budget revisions 2024, 2025, and vital statistics levy revisions fiscal year 2024 to 2025.
Madam President, we don't have any vital services budget revisions for this meeting. The next couple meetings, I'll be having that as a standing item, just with us closing up fiscal year with it ending soon. That way, we always make sure that we're looking at these line items and doing budget revisions if needed. In front of you, I put a packet of budget revisions. There's a packet that will go to the state asking to increase the revenue by $732,883. That is increasing the property transfer tax by $198,335. Federal grants, which is $509,548, and state grants, which is $25,000. Specifically, the federal grants for that 509 is the DEP reimbursement grant that we've been working so hard on. And the state grant, that 25,000 is when we were passed through for Bridgeport. That we got the check and we just had to rewrite after that. So with those budget revisions, it does affect county commission, 401, but those are all within the account adjustments. Prosecuting attorney that is putting money into hers for the, requisitions that were written last year, but didn't come out of, and came out of this fiscal year instead of last fiscal year's budget. State computer network. Extension office. Courthouse, which is all line item adjustments within that department. The federal grants. There's a list of each of the properties and how much we paid to tear them down. The Parks and Rec, or Bridgeport Parks and Rec project reflecting that 25,000. Law enforcement, that's for their overtime details that we get reimbursed for, whether it's from West Milford, Antero, Lost Creek, Phoenix program, Governor's Highway Safety Program, and special detail law enforcement. Home confinement. The garage has some line adjustments within that department, and libraries for an extra $10.
Any questions?
The garage increase of 16,000 was for M&R Auto,
Maintenance and repair auto.
so tires don't fall under that. You track those oil and gas and tires separately.
That is correct. So maintenance and repair auto, a good example is when we wreck a vehicle or gear strike. It comes out of that line item. And then we eventually get reimbursed from the insurance company, but then I transfer that money into that line item if needed.
And on the prosecutor, the increase in new equipment of $7,000 over budget. Is that right?
That is correct. So that is purchase requisitions that she wrote out last May. And they did not, the bill did not come in and get approved or paid until, I believe it was August. She thought it would come out of last fiscal year's budget, but with it being at that point in time, it comes out of the new fiscal year budget.
And the increase in extension office and work study.
The work study program, we were paying for the additional program supplies and everything for the extension office that was not originally budgeted in. So we did budget in for the next fiscal year for that. But also we budgeted, some of the adjustments are, we budgeted 7,500 for agent salary and 3,000 for program assistant. And those actually got, the line item that came out of was the extension work study program. And so that's what we're transferring, that 10,500 plus another 3,000 to that line item.
So I'll go back to the first page where you have net department revision of 745. And we had a decrease of 745, so you balanced those out.
Correct. So that's all within line item. That's not any additional revenue going into the road.
But as I go through the other ones, there is no most of them work their way out except for some where we just had straight increases.
So like prosecuting attorney, that is additional revenue that we're putting into her budget. State computer network, that's additional revenue going into that budget. There's no other line items that has money that we can move from. Usually those are whatever's budgeted. extension office, we moved some of the line item money, which is at just out of 500, but then we had to add an additional 3,000 of revenue to that. Courthouse is all internal within that department, line item adjustments. Federal grants, that's all additional revenue going into that because that's a reimbursement process. So we kept track of each house and how much it cost us to demo it. And then we'll add that to each of those line items. The state grant, like I said, that's additional revenue. It's where we got that 25,000 for the city of Bridgeport for their Parks and Rec program for that park. And we were just a pass through, so that's additional revenue technically going into that because we don't budget any money in state grants either. Law enforcement, it's additional revenue going in there, and that's the reimbursement for those overtime details. We don't budget for that because we never know what overtime details will be working or how much we'll be spending. Home confinement is additional revenue. The deputy was promoted and with extra overtime and everything, so there's additional revenue going into there. That's also reimbursement from the report center. Garage is all within the department line item adjustments, and libraries is an additional revenue of $10.
So the ones that we didn't have a decrease amount to balance them out going into this coming year's budget, have we allowed that those potential's gonna continue, or is this just a one-time increase? Like state computer was a increase of $8,000. Are we gonna see that again next year? Is that built into our budget, or are we going into the budget year not knowing that?
So they give us an idea of how much that our state network bill is going to be. And that's the estimate that we use for budgeting purposes. So that's what we put in there for this fiscal year. It ended up being more, and that's why we have to put more money into that account, that department number. We don't usually budget any extra in those kind of departments because it's usually.
I mean, home confinement's 22,000 if we're having to increase to get through the end of the year, correct?
That is correct.
So have we covered the same 22,000 in next year's budget? Fine.
Yes, sir. At the time, he was not promoted last year whenever we originally did the budget, and home confinement said that they would take care of the increase and all that, and we build them anyway. So that's, we have budgeted that for the next fiscal year.
The other questions?
So what's the pleasure on the general, because there's no vital services, this is just general county.
This is just general county this week, Madam President.
Move to approve budget revisions, general county budget revisions, FY 2024-2025. And submit the budget revision document.
Okay, motion's been made to approve the general county budget revisions for FY 2024-2025 and submit the revisions, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carried. Number 14, review, discuss, consider appointing Jeff Crislip to the Planning Commission.
Madam President, Jeff Crislip has submitted his information. He has a wealth of knowledge. He's worked with the DOH for years. He was actually the highway administrator for our area, and he would be an asset to the Planning Commission.
It's a pleasure.
Move to approve.
Move to approve Jeff Crislip
To the Planning Commission.
to the Planning Commission. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carried. Number 15, review, discuss, consider a letter from Harrison County Farmland Protection Board acknowledging 2 board members' term expirations.
Madam President, we received a letter from the Harrison County Farmland Protection Board that 2 of their board members, their terms will expire. And that would be effective June 30th of 2025. That would be William Suon, he's the Farm Bureau representative, and William Poffendaffer, which is the Conservation District representative. So I would just need commission to make this part of the record and acknowledge this.
Move to approve the recommendation of William Suon and William Coffindaffer by the Harrison County Farmland Protection Board for another term as board members.
That's not what we're doing.
Not what we're doing.
No,
Because
sir.
they're going off. They gotta do some
Oh, okay,
fancy
they're going
footwork.
on.
We're acknowledging
Oh.
their terms are expiring.
Can't stay on?
Huh?
We gotta find 2 new people?
No, they've got it worked out.
We got it worked out, but we have to acknowledge.
Okay.
They have to acknowledge that their
Acknowledge-
term
Okay.
expired.
I just thought we were putting them back on because I like them on there.
They like
Okay.
being on there too.
Yeah, they've done a
They're
great
good at it.
job. Yeah, okay.
You'll see them come back on, but we
Yeah.
just have to acknowledge.
Okay, we're gonna acknowledge that the 2 board members that terms expire
This is per,
were
Code.
noted for by code. William Suon and William Coffin.
okay, there we go. I'm just gonna say the motion as stated by Commissioner.
Yeah, apologize for that.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood what. was going
Yeah,
on. Okay,
I'm like, why are we throwing them off?
any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
What's-
opposed?
I'm sorry. What's their term limits? How many times can we?
They can only
appoint 'em?
serve two.
They do 2 terms
Is that for our bylaws or state bylaws?
State.
Really?
per position.
Yeah, I got that. Now. I understand that, but I was just curious. So it is a state.
It's a state code.
That's interesting that they picked on that board. We have boards that have had people
Mhm.
for 20 years.
Motion carried. I don't think we got that right. Okay. Number 16, review, discuss, consider agreement between the Harrison County Commission and the ARC of Harrison County.
Madam President, this is just the agreement, just like the one that we had when we had Nate Critchfield working for us. They have an individual that will
Oh, okay.
sweep the courthouse and everything, because it's been so long since we have found a replacement from.
Is it still the ARC?
It is
Oh,
still
so-
the ARC,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
I wanted to put the contract agreement back in front of us just to approve, since there was such a gap.
Okay. What's pleasure?
Move to approve the agreement between Harrison County Commission and the ARC of Harrison County and for the president to affix her signature.
Motion is to approve the agreement between the Harrison County Commission and the ARC of Harrison County and to affix the president's signature. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carried. Number 17, review, discuss, consider Italian Heritage Festival's electric lines and new meter on the courthouse property. Mr. Boyles, Chairman.
Yes, thank you all for seeing me again. As I was here on the 7th and made a presentation, there were some things that I needed to go back and revisit. And I've got some documents here that if I may. Yes.
See it on the board. See the map.
When I was here on the 7th, I'd discussed the possibility of continuing the process of putting in the 3-phase power along the courthouse there on Court Street. There was some things that I had failed to do, and I will admit to that. But since then, I have regrouped and done some things. The following items have been addressed, and the power company agreed to provide us with a right-of-way agreement, which you have there in front of you, and I will have to get that, I guess, completed by an attorney or and have it signed and all that. But I can take care of that part of it. I don't know do you guys need to do that on your side? You
We're
do.
gonna- I think we're
Yes. so we'll-
pending his review.
Yes, our attorney will have to review.
Okay, great. I did I did speak with the city, and Jason Lane had told me that the permit to do the work will be applied for by Sharp Electricians, and he said that's he's got all that worked out, so Tim Sharp will just have to fill out the paperwork. So we will have a permit before we proceed with anything else. Had a big discussion with the power company, and they proposed two separate options. The one option was what we've already done. We would just set a meter there and forget about going across Court Street and addressing the issue that goes into the golf building. Well, that would actually be the cheapest thing for the power company, because we would be responsible for all the wiring in the ground and everything, which is pretty expensive. But then down the road, you're going to have an issue when that system fails going into the golf building. They will have to come back and tear it up and probably not do it as neat as we're going to hopefully end up doing it. So that was the least expensive for the power company. But if we do what we've done and then go under the Court Street there into the Lane building, the power company will be responsible for all the wiring. They will be responsible for pulling the wire through, putting all the meters and everything that we need to attach everything. So that's actually the expense on them. So when we do it that way, we actually fix the issue that eventually is going to be a big issue in the golf building, because that provides all the power all up along Court Street. So if we do it the big way, we don't have that expense. That's all on the power company. So that was something that we discussed, and you all had stated, you know, aesthetically, you know, people walking that Court Street, they're going to see this power box or whatever. Is there any way we could do anything with it? Well, I reached out to 304 Fencing over in Whitedale, and they were more than happy to sponsor the festival and put a aesthetically beautifying fence around that, so nobody could enter without a key. You know, he is meeting me next Wednesday, and we're going to look exactly where we can put the fencing and make sure that it's covered everything. Nobody can climb over it, and it will be blocked where nobody can even see what's inside of it. So
We'll
it'll
be able to see what you're doing.
yes.
Okay.
So let's see. Sharps Electric is going to do most of our work as far as hooking into the power box and making it acceptable for when the stage crew and all that, all they have to do is plug in. There's not going to be any hard effort or on their part. Everything, anybody that wants to use the front of the courthouse there for any kind of entertainment or needs three-phase power, they'll just be able to plug up. It won't be anything that they'll have to have a certified electrician to hook up. It'll just be plug and go. So all I'm asking is if we can go ahead and get permission to proceed with our project, and everything that we've done thus far. I don't know if you've all had the chance to look, but we've seeded, we've strawed, so the grass is coming back, so it's really aesthetically looking like we weren't even there, except for the ends that we left open to finish the project.
This is at no cost to us.
Yes.
Bill, the electric that's there now, if somebody wants to come use it for a weekend, is that through you all or through the city?
No, that's through the city.
So this new three-phase box and whatever, who has control of that box?
Well, actually, the box itself, as far as charge goes, we'd had this discussion that I think it's going to be $15, $20 per month just for the monthly fee itself. But if anybody hooks into it, then there will be a usage charge. But as far as who controls the Court Street and all that, excuse me, all that wiring and all that with the boxes, that would be the city.
So do we need to enter into an agreement with the city that they were the ones that will determine who has access to that three-phase? It's not our responsibility.
That would be a city responsibility.
So I just think we need an MOU that sitting there, but you all.
Just tell them to go across the street.
Yeah, but if we're, yeah, as far as, the city needs to, cause I
mean,
personally don't
that's
want the
what
keys. I don't want us
No,
to
we
be
don't have-
responsible.
No, the city,
We have-
when I spoke
That's
with
what I
the
said.
city manager, Tiffany and Jason Lane, they informed me that they would be in charge of, taking care of all that.
That's what I'm saying.
City pays the
City.
monthly bill?
It's all gonna go to the city the way I look at it,
Okay.
Because it's on your property.
but we're not paying it on the other 2 meters, are we?
From what I've been informed, and I'm not just going by what I've heard, that because that meter is sitting on your property, then you would be responsible for the monthly fee. Now, there might be something that because the city is in charge of that, maybe they have responsibility for that.
Like we need to
I-
lease
I-
that section
I wish
of
I
the
would have
city for
asked that
$1 a year,
question.
and it's there,
Right.
it's there. Just-
I know that the city told me in my meeting the other day that they were responsible for the boxes and everything right on that Court Street. That was their responsibility. And they were
We're gonna
fine
have
with
to
the
find out
project.
who those meters' names are in. So that's something you're just gonna have to look at. The only thing that I see with this lease agreement is, I don't think we want to give them 10-foot right away in through there, do we? We just live with a 5-foot right away.
Yeah, I think that is just kind of practical what they put. That's going down,
Yeah.
That's,
you know,
that's
and
a big
they would be,
right-of-way.
excuse me, they would be responsible for getting all that notated with 811.
Yeah, and we'd actually, with this way, it says 5 foot on either side of the center line where you went, we're gonna be over into Court Street, which isn't ours to give.
Yeah, there's not that much room that they could even, I think that was just probably something that was
It's probably
So
a
that's some large.
standard.
form. Yeah.
Standard 5 feet on the county property and 2.5 off the
Yeah.
center line, but yeah, we can't grant the right of way up to the city street.
Understand.
I'm good. I don't know what kind of motion we need, but
Madam President, I would recommend to accept the third-party right-of-way agreement pending legal's review of the document and note the changes that it will be a 5-foot right-of-way. And it'll be, of course, 2.5 feet off center each way.
And we need to find out who's paying the meter.
And that's on my list of who's paying the meter bill.
and even I think you need to ask if we don't have control over that box and we're not gonna have control over the entrance, then maybe we should look into some kind of MOU with the city that they're talk to Trey about that, because then they'll be responsible on we're not gonna get in the fight over
Somebody comes over and gets that.
gets in or gets out.
And if I may just add one other thing
Sure.
to my recommendation, to accept them putting up the fence around, that we agree that they can put up that fence.
As long as we approve.
After we approve the design or the full
Sure.
I would.
Yep.
Next Wednesday, I'm actually meeting with Tucker with 304 fencing and to make sure that we get everything that we need in the hide. So if somebody would want to meet with us down there, I would be more than happy to let them help design it, because that's what they want to do. They want to design it and make sure that everything is aesthetically approved by you all, that hides everything, plus prevents anyone from entering or climbing over. So
Just let us know for sure in case anything changes.
Yeah.
absolutely.
You know how to get a hold of us. Okay, motion's on the floor. Is there any further discussion? And it is as stated by Laura. Got all that, John? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I want to apologize for when I first started, I didn't follow
We got-
procedures,
We'll
but
get
I
there.
thank you all for taking the time to hear me out.
We appreciate the work that you do and that we got this all sorted out. We
Thank you all.
appreciate your efforts.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, number 18, review, discuss, consider access and remediation letter agreement, Gary Heater, 1314 Capitol Avenue, Clarksburg, West Virginia.
Yeah, this is, okay.
Just terrible. He signed it, but that wasn't notarized.
Good build.
Garrett.
Oh,
Oh, I need to do that.
Okay,
I will do that.
I don't want to go thinking that. I just want to point it out that that signature that I'm looking at was not notarized.
Okay, I will do that. I will go
Okay.
back and do that.
Okay, that's all.
He is agreeing to let us tear down his trailer. It's pretty bad. It's pretty gutted inside and it's a pretty sore site. The money that we will be getting is from the DEP litter control grant program. So we'll be getting $5,000 from that. We estimate the tear down to be $6,500. The remainder amount will be there will be a lien put on that property until it's paid back.
the remainder of, we can't go after the DEP money, right?
No.
Okay. Set dry. Okay. What's pleasure?
Motion to approve pending signature being notarized.
A motion to approve pending signature being notarized, the access and remediation letter agreement for Gary Heater at 1314 Capitol Avenue, Clarksburg. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 19, review, discuss, consider a resolution authorizing the filing of the application to West Virginia DEP Litter Control Grant Program.
Hello.
Hello.
This is the resolution to apply for the DEP litter control money that was mentioned in item number 18. It's up to $10,000 with a 50% match.
So we don't know if we have that money for that. Okay, so if we don't get any DEP money, we can put a lien for the whole thing. Okay. Just want to clarify that.
We need to modify that.
It is pending upon if we get money.
Should have had this the other way around. It's okay.
Yeah, that would add that to the other motion.
May I add something?
You
At
may.
the time the resolution was put together, we didn't have a quote on what it was going to cost to tear it down. So we can only ask, the grant will only pay for 50% of the demolition. So if it's 6,500, then they're only going to give us 3,250 grant money. And then the rest of it will be matched by the county. It's a 50-50 grant.
There'll be a lien on that.
And there'll be a lien on that.
Every little bit helps.
Yep.
If we get it, that is.
I'm pretty sure we get that one. I mean, we get it every year for
No, I
some
mean the
kind.
money. once
No,
The liens put
the
on.
lien and.
Oh, that, yeah, yeah, well, it's beyond my.
Are we allowed to market those?
No, because they're not ours.
Okay, just curious.
Trust me, I've already gone there.
Because there's no transfer of property. It's still their property.
Move to approve the resolution authorizing filing of the application, the West Virginia DEP Litter Control Grant Program. In the amount of 5,000, is that what you're applying for, is 5? Or up to 5?
Well, it was up to
Up to
5,
10.
but since we're not going to be using the whole thing, we can revise this resolution
Okay,
to be exactly what half of that cost will be. Or we can leave it as is, whatever you all wish to be done, because I think we set it for a $10,000 grant, which 5,000 would be match and 5,000 is
Okay.
grant. Which is not
So it's
going to
5,000.
happen because it didn't come in at that cost, unless she can find something else that we could use, get the whole 5,000 for.
Okay, so it's in the maximum amount of 5,000.
Yes.
Up to,
So it would be basically a $10,000 project.
Okay,
because of the 5,000 match. Okay.
Yes.
for the president to fix her signature.
Okay, motion is to approve the resolution authorizing the filing of the application to the West Virginia DEP Litter Control Grant Program for up to $5,000 and to affix the appropriate signature, correct?
Your signature.
My signature, president's signature, okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carried. Thank you, girls. Number 20, review, discuss, consider travel request for Emily Rebella from Community Corrections to go to Advanced Alcohol and Drug Counseling exam in Morgantown, May 17th, 2025.
This
Already
is all-
happened.
This has already happened. I went ahead and approved it. It's on the agenda, because that's the process and procedure. She had to go and take her test for, and they were only offering it on May 17th at this time.
To approve
After the fact.
after the fact. Travel for Emily Rebello or
That is correct.
Community Corrections.
Okay, motion to approve after the fact travel for Emily Rebello from Community Corrections. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. Number 21, review, discuss, consider travel request for 911 employees to go to West Virginia Northern Community College, New Martinsville campus. Natasha McDaniel, Matthew Gump, and Consuela Jones. Know when this is?
June
Or
23rd and
was?
24th.
Okay.
No, it is. It's coming
We're
up.
good there.
Okay,
Move to approve travel request as read by the commission president.
motion to approve travel requests as read by the commission president. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. Laura,
Yes, so I see Mayor Oliverio already left, but I did want to say that our maintenance department is working hard between Mount Clair to Lost Creek, building the base. And we do have a roller. We bought that roller attachment with the skid steer that we purchased. And to get that base settled, get up the grass that has overgrown and taken over, and then they'll put that crush and run down, so it's a smaller gravel and everything, and work on that trail. That's where they're currently at, and then they'll be moving on to Glen Falls to Skelter area. And then some wonderful news, Wolf Summit Energy. We were able to close on that piece of property last week on Friday, so I just wanted to give that update.
that's it.
That's all, Madam President.
Only the courthouse is asking. They have a meeting, find out what the next one does. Some of the judges want to expand their courtrooms.
We're working on scheduling that, and we're actually also working with, the Supreme Court in Charleston wants to be involved in those discussions. So it's very preliminary. We've just gotten started on that project.
Do we have a report or anything at this point?
We've gone over, we've sent them, so McKinley is on the usage side
Right.
for us. We've sent them the floor plans.
But we don't have a report from McKinley, right? Okay, that's my question.
No, we're very.
I didn't
sending
think
them
so.
the information.
Okay.
I
thought
think
it
we
was in-
actually have.
I thought it was in the infancy stages.
Yeah, we haven't entered into a contract yet to actually hire them to perform the job, aren't they just giving us, working on what it's gonna cost us to do the study?
They're going to give us a cost, yes,
Yeah.
and then go from there.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that fall under them that we wanted them to do when we hired the architect engineer for the county for a couple projects.
All you have. Mr. Hinkle?
I I think, I hate to say it, but the levy is around the corner. That we're going to be looking at what we're going to be doing with the levy. I'd kind of like to start getting prepared for it. I think one of the things that if the commission as a whole is willing to look at, I would like to see us potentially try to find somebody or a group to come in and evaluate our fire services as a county as a whole and how we can make our fire services and better service to the citizens and look at what we have. So
Best way to do it.
best way to do it. So I think it's something that we hear about, and I think that if the commission thinks that that's the way to go, I'd like to get it on the next agenda that we look at for staff to go out and try to find someone, so that if we're going to have to do something as the levy goes, then I think we need to know sooner than later. That's it for me.
Sir, in relation to the levy, yes, we are starting to work on it now and try to get projections and everything, because that levy will have to go on next year's primary election.
Which is at this
In
point,
May.
what, 9 months away? When's that-
Basically,
when's-
yeah,
Is that about right, John? 9 months?
No, it's about a year.
About a year?
It's in May.
It's in May.
Okay, so we got a year. So, but I mean, for us to have it submitted
Yeah, for the ballot.
Oh.
for the ballot and for the state, don't we have to be like a month or two before that?
3 months. I
3
believe it's
months,
90
so-
days.
Yeah, so,
Then you gotta have it done before.
yeah, so we really only have about 9
You gotta get
months
started.
to work this out, and that'll be here.
Before you know it.
Yeah, so.
And sir, I already put on the agenda for our next meeting, review, discuss, consider hiring a firm to evaluate volunteer fire departments and to look at the best way to provide fire service to the county. If that sounds like a proper agenda item for you.
Good job, Susan.
What can I say?
Thumbs up.
We've been having this discussion, but not necessarily to have somebody but do it.
That's it for me.
I have nothing. I think I've said enough already. So. Motion,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carried.
It was already on the agenda. Yeah.
I told her. Brought that up.
And what's gonna be interesting on the levy is we're gonna have to
As an example,
So you know. Really well.
Oh, yeah.